Please think about your legacy because you're writing it every day. Gary Vaynerchuk. You have the power to be the boss of your own life. I'm your host, Monica Allen. I'm a wife, mom, entrepreneur, best-selling author, lifelong learner, and your biz bestie. I have a love and passion for all things small business. Growing my own company from $700 to over 7 figures annually, my goal is to bring you inspiration, business-focused topics and tips, encouragement, and a community that helps you launch, grow, and scale your business, whether you are a dreamer, a side hustler, or a seasoned entrepreneur. You are listening to the Become Your Own Boss podcast. This episode is being brought to you by Zeus's Closet, where we're like a tattoo shop for your clothes. As a small business, you should have branded apparel to help market and create brand awareness around your business. Right now, you can grab our small business package that includes 3 polo shirts, 2 logo button-down shirts, and free business logo setup at the link in the show notes. You can save 15% by using code BOSS15. Today, I have the pleasure of chatting with a dynamic husband and wife duo, Katrina and Monti McDaniel, owners of Impact Financial Solutions Group. Now, you all know how much I love connecting with other spouse teams, and Katrina and Monti have been in business together since 2010. They've built a thriving company of 25 agents, specializing in everything from tax solutions for small business owners to children's savings plans, 401k rollovers, growth-focused IRAs, and even living benefits life insurance. But what I'm really excited about today is talking with them about legacy, how they've managed to grow together as business partners, as a couple, and as parents. We're diving into lifelong learning, the challenges and joys of working with your spouse, raising a family, and so much more. Let's get into it. Well, Katrina and Monti, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Excellent. Okay, so this is one of my favorite questions. I love to start here. Tell me, what problem were you trying to solve when you all started Impact Financial Services or Solutions?
Well, I guess I would say the main thing we're trying to do is stop the economic disparity that we currently have in our country. I do a lot of statistics, I read a lot, and one of the statistics that I saw was that Caucasian households have 8 times more wealth than African American households do. Of course, there's a lot of factors that come into that, but one of the main reasons is because of a lack of knowledge. One of the main things we want to do is make sure middle America has access to the same resources that the top 1% do.
Okay, I love that. Monti, did you want to add anything to that?
Sure. We actually just wanted to expand our service. And by doing that, I wanted to do it in a way where I could kind of break the mold from where my family came from. Because when people know better, they do better. Like I always tell people, you got to start where you are. So just start saving. Your discipline is going to be your destiny. My goal was to make sure that my kids, myself, my family broke the mold. Like I had a plan for my kids for college. I started putting money away for that and protecting the mortgage, things like that, our assets, and just sharing that with the public, how they can do that in a cost-effective way.
Gotcha. I can kind of go down 2 paths with this interview, and I'm probably going to do a little bit of both because there's the entrepreneurial side of what you do, but there's also the education side of what you do. Let's go down that route first. Tell me more about what we as families, parents, what should we know to really set our kids up well or to set our families up well?
I think, I'm going to talk about a specific product, but I don't want to get real specific, but I think a lot of people, when you have kids, everybody wants their kids to be successful. But I feel like there are lots of different ways you can do that. And, most people use very specific things like the 529 plan, which is great. And usually that's because maybe their financial advisor or someone at their company, in corporate America mentioned this is, something you should use. And while I always say something is better than nothing, I 100% believe like if you're doing something that's great, you should be applauded for starting the process. But I feel like there are a lot of other ways that you can save for your children's future that's not just geared towards college. So there are things we have a great children's savings plan. We obviously have them on both of our kids. They actually have 2. My mom overheard us talking to a client and was like, I want to do that as well. So now we have 2 plans, but it's a great way to not only think about your child from a college savings perspective, but to also think about them for the duration of their life. Sets them up to make sure when college comes along, you're prepared. But what about the down payment for their first house? I mean, houses have gotten astronomical. I think about, myself personally, I bought my first house when I was, I think 25 or something. It was in Decatur, a townhouse. My down payment was $1,000. I think my mortgage was like $700 a month. That doesn't exist anymore. Right. Unfortunately. But think about our kids when they get ready to go to college, or not go to college, when they get ready to buy their first home, it's going to be crazy. Think about what kind of down payment you're going to have. Our plan is to think about them throughout the duration of their life, set them up in a plan that when they get ready to get married, there are funds there. When they get ready to purchase a home, there's money there. When they get ready to maybe buy a second home, there's money there. And then when they get ready to retire, there are funds there as well. So it sets them up for financial success throughout their entire life, not just for college.
So Monty, let me ask you this. We're setting this stuff up for our kiddos, which is great. What about for us, where we are now? Most of us kind of moving towards retirement. What are things we should be thinking about as the adults in these families?
That's a very good question. I like to look at things like I can start putting away money now, and if I don't, then I have to live on less later. You can start where you are, whether it's $50 or $100 a week. As adults in our community, we should be saving money. And I like to use a term, it's called laser. I like liquid assets that are safely earning returns, predictable returns at that. I don't like to gamble. I'm not a gambler, and I don't like to gamble with my family's money. So everything that we do, we eliminate the risk. So we get the gains of the market. It's almost like being in the market without any of the risks. With that, I would say, we try to help good people, make great decisions so that they can enjoy their retirement. And that starts today. As soon as you can, start putting away money.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that has been kind of a catalyst for me, really like around the podcast, as far as, I'm teaching people about business, but I love bringing on people such as yourself, because so many times we miss the mark with the savings, the investing. I do think it's really important that we utilize and get involved in those things. And I usually ask this at the end, but I want to go ahead and ask you all this. What's your ideal client, or who is your ideal client?
It's funny. When we went through a branding process probably about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah. I
don't know if you've heard of Brandpreneur before, but I'm just giving him a plug. He did an amazing job. Nick, I can't remember his last name now. Nick.
I know Nick. That's crazy. It's a small world. I know him.
Yeah, he did a great job. Anyway, he interviewed us because he helped us with our branding. And at the end of the interview, he said, your ideal client is you. He was like, people that look like you, people that have structure, a family structure like yourself, is the main people that you're helping. Most of our clients are middle America. Of course, we do have some high-end clients as well.
Yeah.
But most of our people that we work with are middle America, have young families. We work with a lot of entrepreneurs because, a lot of times as an entrepreneur, you pour so much into your business, so much of your time, your assets, that you forget to think about your future because you're so focused on your clients and their needs. I would probably say that's our ideal.
Yeah, we work with a lot of young professionals too that have young kids. He's exactly right. Like I find that, people, you go where you get along. Young families, we like to help out.
Okay, that's good to know. How are you finding your ideal client? Is it referral based, or are you somewhere out there? Are you on Instagram? Or how are you finding those people?
That's a good question. So I feel like lately we've been a lot more intentional, and we've done some strategic partnerships. One great partnership we did was with a great organization. It's called Spencer Iverson. What is it called?
Worthy of Millions.
Worthy of Millions. It's a great organization that he created where he gives people the opportunity to grow themselves from a mental standpoint to become worthy of millions, because everything starts in the mind first. We did a great partnership with him. We've helped several clients that are part of that organization. I'm a member of a group called She Speaks Vision. It's for, I would say, mostly C-suite or business owner, African-American women. We do lots of events. We're typically the hosts. We typically host them. We're business sponsors. We do a lot of partnerships with different people and organizations that we feel like our ideal client will probably be a part of.
Yeah, I would go as far as to say, I believe that we actually attract our clients.
That's true.
And we're involved in the community, and we like to use the term like, I'm not a secret agent. Okay. So I let people know what I'm doing. But of course, I'm the type of person, and I think Katrina is also, where we do well at this because we actually like people.
Yeah.
And we like learning about people. We learn things from people, whether it's just small talk from what restaurants to try. I remember I moved here from California. I didn't know anyone. And now it seems I can't go anywhere without seeing somebody that I know. I would say we kind of attract the people that we work with, and it's not being a secret agent. I've been at birthday parties and people, I'm asking them what they do. And then eventually they'll ask you what you do. And then I have a couple ways to explain how what we do is beneficial and risk-free a lot of times.
I like that not being a secret agent thing, because I think sometimes people are so afraid to tell people what they do, or they can't explain it concisely. And so then they end up confusing people, and that can be kind of a bit of a turnoff. I love that secret agent thing. We all need to make sure people know what we do. I love that so much. You've told me about your ideal client, how you find them. Now, you two work together in your business. I first want to just know, from the entrepreneurial side of things, what's your biggest challenge? And not necessarily working together as a couple. We're going to get to that. But just in being in business in general.
The biggest challenge sometimes with being an entrepreneur is turning it off. But when you have your own business, you could technically always be working. Because usually, even if you have a standalone office, you typically have a home office as well. A lot of your clients have your personal cell phone number. So it is sometimes very difficult to just turn it off and no longer be in workload and just spend time with your family. I would say that's a challenge that I think we have sometimes.
I would agree. I think that Katrina and I both have a great work ethic. And again, we'll work when we should actually be hanging out together sometimes.
Yes.
So that would be the most challenging thing. It's just learning how to switch gears and turn it off. But, you never know. I walk around with a notepad. You might have a great idea and you're out at dinner and you want to make sure you write it down. You don't want to forget it. I would say that's probably the challenging thing is knowing when to shut it off, switch gears, and then just relax.
Yeah. I think it's very hard too when you enjoy what you do, or at least I find that for myself. Like, I enjoy my business, but it is very hard to turn it off. So I can definitely concur with that. What's the most fun though? What's the most fun part of being an entrepreneur?
Okay, so I'll go ahead and say one of the greatest things for me is seeing, because we have about 20 agents, is seeing someone's life change. That is like the biggest thing. I was so happy for some of our agents over the last month or so. We had an agent, he said, hey, you know what? I gave him some advice. Hey, my goal at first, when I first became an entrepreneur, was just to never roll a zero. Always have something or rewriting some type of business on a weekly basis. A guy made a commitment, and within 7-8 months, he did over $10,000 in a month, which is something that he had never done before. Yeah, and then also we had another agent, Kelly Collins. She's been with us the longest. She's been with us like 12 years. Yeah. And her lifestyle, just seeing her lifestyle, how it's changed, what she can do for her grandkids. Going on vacation, she went to Cancun. She won a trip.
All inclusive.
She won a trip. Yeah, she won a trip to Cancun, all inclusive, and she loved it. Pampered herself. She was like, I got to do this again, and it just motivated her. She's like, I got to win again next year. And then also just seeing how we're able to be making impact. No pun intended there, but make an impact in the community. I've had phone calls where someone has been in a car accident. And we were able to get them. We had a young lady in a car accident, get her about $70,000. She's still alive, still has her plan together. But seeing one of my good friends, my buddy Jamie. Jamie is a disabled veteran. He's a little bit older than me, and he had a heart attack. With him having a heart attack, it was what they call a widowmaker. It was going to basically explode all the chambers in his heart. And he got over it. He's fine today. And he took the plan that we had allowed him to access cash in the event of some type of getting hurt or some type of illness. And he paid off his house, which was, that gives him an extra $2,400 a month.
Right.
For the rest of his life.
That's something that was part of his life insurance policy, like critical.
Yeah, so he has something that actually has a retirement component to it as well.
Okay.
It builds cash value, and there is a death benefit. And so he was able to access his cash is still growing, and he was actually able to access part of his death benefit and get better. He had to do myocardial therapy, some physical therapy, but other than that, he's fine. And now, he's eliminated his largest bill.
Gotcha. Within your company, you really offer people a variety of solutions to meet their overall goal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's situation is unique. We kind of cater it to what their goals are and what their situation is.
Okay, so tell me this. I know you all work together. My husband and I work together too. It's been some challenging moments, but there's definitely positives to it as well. How has that been for the two of you, and how's it going?
She hasn't fired me lately, so we're doing okay. But go ahead.
She fire you every now and then.
I think the positive is that you always have a partner. Because, when you're an entrepreneur, there are things that are specific to your industry and your business that you go through. And it's great having your spouse know exactly what you're talking about, give you great advice, be a shoulder to cry on. It's because sometimes if you talk to a friend or a family member, they're not in your industries, they don't really understand what you're talking about. So it's good having a partner in that aspect. I would say a challenge is, again, turning it off, because we're married. We don't always want to be talking about business, but it comes up a lot because we'll be at dinner and then somebody will call, or we'll think about an appointment or something that we're working on for a client, and suddenly we're talking about one of our clients' files, which is not what we should be doing. So I think that's probably a challenge, but I think it's going well. I think now that we've been in business for quite a while, we do different parts of our business. There are certain things that he works on that I'm kind of very in the background on. And then there are certain things that I work on that he's on the background on. It kind of balances itself out better now that we kind of have our own roles of different things we work on.
I love it. I mean, we've been working together. Well, let's see. So I moved out here from California, July 2nd, 2007. I met her August 11th, 2007 at a place called the Lucky Lounge on Lucky Street. Okay. I swear it's next to the Georgia Aquarium. It's a different name now. We were engaged at Christmas and we were married July 12th, 2008. We started our business October 22nd, 2010 was our first day. I not only have someone to talk shop with, I have a lunch date every day, a beautiful lunch date. And she's also my running buddy. Sometimes we have to separate, divide to conquer. Maybe I have to go get a wet signature from a client or go deliver one of our plans, and vice versa. And I have a partner in that. I think that's great too, because it holds you accountable. And then also, I think it's an advantage in our relationship because it gives us like a rhythm. We're constantly communicating with each other. And a lot of people say communication is key. Well, with this, it's an advantage because I have my wife next to me all day long. And so we can actually focus on what our dream board has on it and what our goals are.
It's funny. I joke sometimes. I don't joke about it as much as I used to, but I used to joke a lot about, I think Ethan and I would have been divorced if we didn't work together, because working together makes us, like you said, Monty, communicate. Like we always are talking, though, yes, it is a lot of times about business, and we can try to take it off the table. Like if we go out to dinner and it's date night, we'll say, okay, we're not going to talk about work. We're not going to talk about the children. Eventually, it comes back to work and the children. But it does I think it's great. But I also have people say to me often, like, I can't believe you work with your spouse. And I'm like, I can't believe you don't work with your spouse. Anyway.
Yeah.
I enjoy it, truthfully. And I'm glad you guys do too. How does it work? Now, Katrina, I often ask, especially moms, you're trying to balance, and I know dads, they do a lot. I know they do. But how's the mompreneur life for you, Katrina? I'll start there first.
Well, it can be challenging, but the great thing about having your own business is that you can kind of structure your day to fit what your kids' needs are. It's kind of cool because it's funny, I was telling one of my friends the other day, one thing that I try to do is I try to spend time with each of our kids individually, one-on-one on a regular basis, like by themselves. And because we have our own business, I'm able to do that. We have a little structure. I take our oldest daughter to school in the morning. She still doesn't drive the bus because on the car ride, I get to talk. We talk about, her day, what's going on. So I think that's great. Then our youngest daughter, he takes her to school. But in the morning before school, we do a lesson. She tells me about what's going to be going on in school. It can be challenging because, it's kids, your kids are probably in a ton of activities as well. It's a lot of juggling, but it does allow us to be able to have the opportunity to spend quality time with them and kind of create our schedules around what they have going on.
Yeah. I couldn't imagine not owning my own business because I will block out time for any kid activity because I don't want to miss it. I mean, before we know it, they're going to be off and doing their own thing.
Yeah.
Monty, what about you? Do you enjoy your morning time, your drive, and how's dadpreneuring going?
It's great, to be honest with you. What I do is instead of saying, hey, I have to watch my kids, I say, I get to do this. I get to go. For me, every day, I take my daughter to school, Taylor. We talk in the car, and she's used to it. And so also I pick up both of the kids in the afternoon. I get to spend time with them there as well. Like today, at 5 o'clock, I've got to go pick up Paige, and I'll pick up Taylor, and I take them to gymnastics. And we're talking, and they're with their friends. And for me, I really do think that I have a bond with my daughters because their dad is there every day picking them up. And I don't let work get in the way of spending time with them. Like I coach their soccer team. Yeah, I coach both of their soccer teams.
Basketball, you
coach basketball, which was a challenge this summer because it was extremely hot out there. And the first game was at 10 and the next game was at 1.
That was rough.
But it kept me in shape and I got to spend time with them. I don't think that they really even know. It's funny. The guy that we work with, Mike, I don't even think that my kids know exactly what we do, but they do realize that we don't sit in traffic or we don't, we're not like running the same hours as most people. One day, Paige was in the car and she was like, Dad, where are all these people going? Why is there so many people on the road? I'm like, oh, they have to go to work right now. And
rush hour.
Yeah, it's rush hour. And she's like, wow. So I don't even think that they realize what we do, but I love it.
They played basketball outside during the summer?
No, that was soccer.
That was soccer. Okay. Like, whoo. Okay, got it. But yeah, I mean, this summer's been hot. Yeah. That's tough. But no, that's really great. One of the things I love to talk about, and I think you all are so in the realm of this because you're helping people create and leave legacy. But where does legacy fit in your household and in your business?
Well, it's very important to me. Growing up, come from the Bay Area, my parents didn't really have a plan for me. There wasn't money for college. I had to learn those things on my own. I didn't even learn about credit until I had already ruined it, going on the college campus and things like that. I've always thought that, and I think I'm not a Bible buff, but I think it's Proverbs 13:22. A good man leaves his children's children an inheritance. That's one of my favorite verses. And I honestly believe that that's what I want to do. I do want to leave a legacy where my name and my family name, it goes a long way. And it affects my great kids and my great grandkids. And then they'll know who I am because I left them something. Yes. If you don't know your great grandfather, it might be because he didn't leave you anything. But I figure if I leave them something, they'll be like, hey, well, I guess they'll call me Grandpa. Grandpa Monty took care of us.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful.
Well, I would say something similar. I feel like my kids are my why. So that's why we work hard, because we want to give them the experiences and the lifestyle. Some of the experiences we didn't really get to have growing up. I had a great childhood, but we didn't travel a lot. Our parents didn't have a ton of money. This summer, we got to take them to, where did we go? Dominican Republic. Punta Cana for like a week. So they have passports and they got to, experience other culture. I feel like travel's the great teacher.
Yeah.
I think it's great. I feel like if we as a people really thought about making sure we put our assets and our resources in the right places and left something for the next generation coming up, it would make things so much easier than everybody continuously having to start over again.
That part. Yes, I agree 100%. Much like you, Monty. Well, Katrina knows how I grew up. We actually grew up together in Madison, Georgia. And she and I have a lot in common. I was thinking about this, Katrina, before the interview. We both have 2 kids. We're both from the same town. We both joined the best sorority in the world. Yes. Kappa Alpha sorority. And I know that lifelong learning is one of your beliefs and core values, and it's one of mine as well. Monty, much like yourself, I didn't grow up with a lot, and traveling was not a thing. either, like Katrina mentioned. I do think it's important that we continue to give our kids more. But Katrina, I love both of you saying like leaving enough for future generations and setting ourselves up for that is just really important. And legacy, that's like my life word right now is legacy. I have a couple more questions, and they're kind of on two different paths. But one is, how do you both continue to learn on this lifelong learning? How do you make sure you continue to learn?
I'm an avid reader. I love to read. I was like that when I was little. You know how your parents try to make you go to sleep, and you have a flat. You're like, I want to finish this chapter first. I love reading, so I get up what, 5, normally around 5:15 every morning, and I read for like an hour. I know that sounds very nerdy, but I feel like, when you start your day right, it sets the tone for the day. But I love reading. I have a few of my books here that I'll share. Do you want me to share them or no?
Of course, I would love that.
Okay, so these are a few books, and I think you've read some of these as well. Yeah. This is a great book. 10X is easy. You have this book?
I do. I don't know where it is on my desk, but yes, I have that. I love that book.
Yes, this book is amazing. It really teaches you to think big. And if you stop looking at things from an annual perspective and look at things from, I can think bigger, I can do more, you'd be surprised at what you can do. And then this is another book that I recently read. It's called Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. This is also very good as well, because it kind of teaches you how your habits create your life. They say, what did he say? He said, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. What you're doing every day is literally creating your life. I also love reading books about people. I love Michelle Obama. She's one of my favorite people. Her book, Becoming, is really, really good. And I also love Viola Davis. This book is amazing. It's really, really good. Both of them, I just love reading about successful people, what their journey is. And because I feel like when you read about someone's life, you can really see what they went through and what they did to get them to the point that they are. I love reading. I would say that's Imani knows
Yeah, she does. In fact, with the home that we live in, I built a pond outside in the backyard with 3 waterfalls on it and some koi fish. But you can really go out there, and it's like her own oasis. She's got the water feature going, and she can read. We spent time decorating out there, so it's fully furnished. Mm-hmm. It's like another part of our house, but it's open. And I think that she likes to read because that's how she starts her day. It's good for critical thinking, but then also, like, for me, when I'm reading, I get reminded of things that I know internally, but just to read it physically will help me throughout the day. It also gives me good topics to discuss with people. It also helps me with my kids. And I'd say for me, I like to read. I would say you will seldom exceed your self-development. I always am trying to self-develop as far as reading is concerned. And even to the point where I go to the gym, I'll get a hydro massage to loosen up my back. I'm reading in there for 10 minutes. I come out, I stretch, I get on the bike, I'm reading on the bike. And then I'll go and I'll lift weights, and then I'll go sit in the sauna. I'm reading in the sauna. And I normally have 2 books. I have basically a product book that's going to help me with products that are going to help more clients and expand my service. And then also I have a personal development book. So like right now I'm reading a book called Discipline is Destiny. And I'm reading that because I finished Atomic Habits. Okay. Yeah. Discipline is Destiny. It's a good book. And
I think that's one I have not read.
Yeah.
I need to check that one out. And I haven't read Viola Davis's book either. I just won't say that. I'm sure it's good. Her story is amazing. Like, her story is amazing, but I'm going to get that book. Okay, so this is another one. I do something called Boss Up Books episodes on the podcast. I've covered 10X is easier than 2X, but I've also covered this one. It's by the same author as 10X Easier. Who Not How. This is a really, really great book. And then, yeah, I'm the same way. I have so many books. It's crazy. Reading, I love it. I love it. Okay, one more question and I'm kind of going back to when we talked about what problem you were trying to solve. But when you all started your business, how did you fund it? Or did you need a lot of funding? Did you not need a lot of funding? Just curious.
Honestly, we self-funded our business. Like in the beginning, it wasn't really a business. It was just us. We were just literally meeting with clients. And then eventually it turned into, now we have 25 brokers. We have an office manager. in the beginning, it was just us. Like, would you agree? Or
Yeah, I mean, honestly, 2008 had just happened. The market was different. And I want to say we just, God and the universe does a lot for you. And then we have another saying that, that activity will always trump talent. We worked hard. The physicality of our business in the beginning is totally different than now because of technology, Zoom. Before, I would have to meet every single client at their home. So for about 10 years, I was driving 10 to 12 hours a day to make it happen. And then being older, again, and wanting to learn about finance, that's what I really have a knack for, and something that really interested me. I want to say at one point I wanted to be a trader on the stock market. But then we started leveraging our credit. We learned how to keep a good credit score, how to leverage it, and never had to use it really for business, but it does help that we have those high marks. And I think that with the business, it just keeps expanding. And I want to say the toughest decision was when we did bring on an office manager, because now we have someone's mortgage and someone's car note that we're
on your shoulders.
that we're responsible for. Funding it just was really hard work, and making sure that we understood how to leverage different accounts and things like that.
Yeah. Now that you've been in business for, say, 16 years? Yes. What, if you could go back and tell your younger self something, and you both can answer this, what would you tell your younger self?
I would say to think big in the beginning. I feel like a lot of times you get so focused on, instead of focusing on what you want, you're so focused on how am I going to do it? So you take certain dreams and you put them off to the side, or instead of reaching here, you reach here because you don't see how that's possible. I think in the beginning, if you think bigger, even if you don't hit that goal, you'll get close to it. And a lot of times it's not what you should be focusing on the what, not the how, because the how will come to, God will help you get what you want if you get clarity of what it is you actually want. I think that's what I would say.
Yeah. And I would say, starting to put retirement plans in earlier.
Yeah.
And we didn't really, in the beginning, we really focused on doing a lot of just mortgage protection. We wanted to be number one in mortgage protection, which is great. But being a financial services professional, there's many different things that we can do. A lot of different vehicles that we can work in, and spaces that we can help people get in to protect their retirement. Again, my goal is to help good people make great decisions so that they can actually enjoy their retirement. So if I could tell my younger self something, I would have started saving for retirement in my 20s. We do have a retirement plan, but that would be something I would tell my younger self. Yeah, start early.
Start early and think bigger earlier.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you both taking the time today to tell us about your business, to tell us about the services you offer. I do truly believe that we can make just this huge change in the world that is so needed. I love what you all are doing. I could probably talk to you a lot longer, but I'm not going to hold you much longer because, I claim I'm going to keep these things to 40 minutes and I just go on and on. But I love what you all are doing because, especially for our community, it's so much that we don't know about financial services. And I think sometimes people are afraid to invest. Can you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel like sometimes, and Katrina, I don't know about you, but I feel like growing up in Madison, a lot of times the mentality was a little small. People were afraid to take those bigger risks, right? Can you all speak, before I let you go, can you all speak to that a little bit? Like, as far as investing money, how do you rest assured that, I know you can't guarantee returns, but that your money's being taken care of and people are looking out for your best interests?
One thing that we advise our clients to do is you want to look at two different things when you're looking at any type of investing. First of all, you want to look at the company that's going to be having your funds. All of the securities we work with are A-rated. Most of them have been around for over 100 years. That's really important because that means they've been through 2 world wars and a recession and a depression. So it's important that you're not putting your money in places that are not vetted. I would say the second thing is look at the product itself and the way it works. Some financial products can be difficult to understand every single nuance, but you need to understand high level the way the product works. For an example, most of the products we work with allow you to get market-like gains without losses. We can guarantee no matter if the market falls off a cliff, you're not going to lose any money. I can't guarantee you the exact gain you're going to get. I can tell you what the average has been over the past, 10, 15 years in this product, but if the market falls off the cliff, you're not going to lose any money. I would say if you really truly are not, you don't follow the market and you don't have the time or the energy, and most people don't, you need to put your money in products that are safe and that can give you those types of guarantees. Especially as we get older, it's when you're in your 20s, early 30s, you kind of have time to bounce back. Once you get to be in your 40s, 50s, 60s, you don't. Mm-hmm. Take the time to investigate the company itself and then the type of product that your money is going to be going into.
I would say that we actually educate our clients as well. I think that's a big part of it, is making sure that you educate your clients. Mm-hmm. And then also, you can't I always say, don't be afraid of the big number as long as it's the right number. Mm-hmm. We also make sure that everything that we do is going to be indexed or it's going to be protected. Yeah. So we've never had a client lose a penny. What happens is if the market goes up, they'll get a certain percentage. But if the market goes down, it's kind of like a car. You're either going to go and drive or you're going to go and park. But we're not going to hit reverse on your retirement account. Right. And so I think that's the biggest thing, is making sure that we eliminate risk. Then that way we can guarantee that you always gain. And, it's not a overnight get rich quick type scheme. It doesn't exist. Now there are ways that you can invest in the market to get huge gains, and they can be quite risky. So that's one thing that I like, is that we eliminate the risk, the stress, because we have clients that get stressed out. They were stressed out until we showed them a better way.
Right. No, that's great. Well, I appreciate you all taking the time to tell us a little bit about your journey as entrepreneurs, as people in business together who are married as well, and then just how you are changing the community around you and making other people's lives better. I appreciate you both so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah,
it was great.
It was our pleasure. Thank you for having us.
Katrina and Monti, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey with us today. And welcome to the Become Your Own Boss podcast family. Now, let me share with you all some of the big takeaways from today's episode, because I love doing that. For me, this conversation came down to one powerful word, and that is exposure. You see, when you're exposed to new ideas, whether through travel, books, or surrounding yourself with like-minded people focused on growth, and by the way, that's the key. Those people must be focused on growth. You can't help but grow. It took me back to my own childhood. Like Katrina and Monti, I didn't have much, but I had a great childhood, and most importantly, I had a mom who always found a way to give me exposure to what she could. I'll never forget my first field trip to the big city, which is Atlanta. It's about an hour outside of the small town that I grew up in. But we came up with French Club to the Fox Theater. We saw The Phantom of the Opera. That was my first musical. And I also remember visiting the Hot Museum of Art with my Girl Scout troop. I still have the chopsticks I bought after seeing the Chinese exhibit. And to this day, reading has been one of the biggest forms of exposure for me. Whether it's fiction or nonfiction, books have always opened my mind to new possibilities. So what does this mean for you as an entrepreneur? I would say keep seeking exposure. Not just exposure for your business, though that is important, but exposure to new ways of thinking, to people who know more than you, to different perspectives that challenge you. It's how we stay innovative and avoid getting stuck in the same old patterns. Let's take Sarah Blakely. A few weeks ago, she launched her new brand, Sneaks, where she reimagined the stiletto into a sneaker-heeled hybrid. Or think about Howard Schultz, whose inspiration for Starbucks came from his travels to Milan, Italy. That's what exposure does. It plants seeds for new ideas and breakthroughs. And I tell you that travel has been really what pulled me away from small thinking. From studying abroad in London as a college student to visiting Kenya and Egypt just a couple of years ago. It is amazing to see the history and culture of other people and step outside of our very small worlds. I'm still waiting on my Sarah Blakely level idea, but in the meantime, I'll keep traveling, reading, and learning from others. And I encourage you to do the same. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you walked away with a few nuggets of wisdom, and I would love for you to share with me some of your takeaways. You can do that by DMing me on Instagram at Become Your Own Boss Podcast, or you can email me. My email is monica@monicaallen.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. It really helps the podcast grow. And remember, if you subscribe, each new episode will automatically download right to your device, which is very convenient. As many of you know, legacy is my life word. Katrina, Monti, and I touched on that quite a bit today. And I believe that leaving a legacy requires being intentional every single day. Now is the time to level up, leave a legacy, and become your own boss.